It's BB and Dealey, we know you have been waiting, so here's another podcast about movies, burn after watching.
All right, everybody, welcome to another one, Burn After Watching. We are back. I don't know, I screw up my intro, and I'm not doing my routine, so like I don't know where I'm going. Welcome to another episode of Burn After Watching. We are joined by Dan again this week.
Let's go.
And it looks like it's going to be a thick episode. Lots to talk about. I think we should just jump right into it because there's like 5 things we want to talk about. First thing first, the Penguin finale. I don't know how to talk anymore. You didn't watch it, right?
I didn't even start. I hear really good things, so I'm just wanted to wait until everything's out.
All right. I watched it religiously, week to week with Mary.
Nice.
Loved it. It's amazing. Very, very good. The first 2 episodes, 4 out of 5 easily. Then there's a little bit of a lull, and then it comes. Lull, I'm saying like 3.5. Like it's still very solid.
Right.
And then the last 2, great. I mean, the last 3, to be honest, really good. Big save. Watch it. It's on Crave or HBO Max.
Nice.
And Colin Farrell is amazing. A lot of good twists, a lot of good turn. Maybe like slightly below The Last of Us.
Is this Colin Farrell's Penguin involved in any of the current Batman universes, or was he just
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you haven't seen Batman 2022? The Batman?
Was that with Robert Pattinson?
Yes.
No, I don't think I've seen that one either.
Okay. Yes. So it's a continuation of that.
Nice.
So that's the Batman with Robert Pattinson and Colin Farrell. So the Penguin is in the first movie, and then this is a spin-off that tells the story. The story takes place between the first movie that is already out and then Batman 2, which is coming out in 2026.
Gotcha.
So it is not necessary to have seen the Batman. It takes place literally right after the first Batman film end. It picks it up there. I would say if you want to get a sense for the vibe, because it's quite a different vibe than the previous Batman, like the Dark Knight trilogy, or even like the Zack Snyder Batman, Justice League stuff. It's a lot close. I would say it's in between Tim Burton and Christopher Nolan, where it's very real, very real, but it's also a lot more gothic, a lot like super rainy, really dope. The music, everything, like the look of the film is amazing.
Damn. Yeah, I'll have to watch it because my understanding of the Penguin is Danny DeVito in the 90s, so which was terrifying. I'll have to check it out. I've only heard good things.
Yeah, it's very soprano, it's really a gangster kind of TV show, but the Batman is solid. So if you have the time and you want to commit, I would watch the movie first. It is quite long, like 2 hours 40, but it's excellent. And and that way you'll have a bit more context about the Penguin itself.
Nice.
And the TV show is really nice. So worth a watch, check it out. Next one, I'm going to shit on a movie real quick, and then we're going to go to your movie. I went to see Anora, like you, and I had some time to kill, so I actually went and decided to go check out Here, the new Robert Zemeckis film with Tom Hanks and Robin Wright, which is a reunion of Forrest Gump. The 3 of them were all in Forrest Gump, and it's most of you guys probably know the film. That's the movie. The camera doesn't move, so the camera stays where it is, and then you go through decade and century, and you see kind of a bunch of story happen, and it is very stale and very synthetic. They use a lot of like de-aging that makes everyone look like AI, AI weird simulation, weird, like it's very plasticky. It's really, and dude, Tom Hanks is just bad. And I was telling you this, like it's been a couple films in a row now.
Yeah.
That he's bad. He's not just like okay. He's like act like Pinocchio, and I haven't seen Elvis, but I know I've seen clips. It's quite terrible.
Yeah, it's the last good, and good is in quotation marks because it's a sad movie, but A Man Called Otto, like that was like a really like sentimental movie. But yeah, it seems like he's been on a bit of a funk.
A slop, yeah, real slop. The movie here is very tedious. It's like you would spend like 5 minutes with someone, and then you have a white frame that just show up in the middle of the movie, and you start seeing the same shot, but from a different decade or a different family living there in the future, in the past, as you watching one scene, and then it slowly fades in or fades out. You think it would happen like every 10 minutes, but it's like every 2-3 minutes there's like a switch, and you never fully follow. It feels like a montage of a real film, like they were trying to like, okay, let's do like a quick summary what happened last week type of thing, but it's just so fast, and it feels like you have no time to like digest anything, and like visually it's like, okay, that's a cool idea, but it's so poorly put together. It's like you have a good idea, and then the worst execution you can have. It's really a painful watch, and it's very badly written, like very on the nose. Just do not go watch it, to be honest. I give it a 2-star burn. Burn. Yeah. I want you. So I saw that you saw Wolf, and I am very interested in what you're gonna say to me.
Yeah, because like Wolves was probably like the beginning year, almost like Long Legs in terms of like how many commercials you would see of it,
TV.
like ads in the movie theaters. It'd be like Apple TV pumping it, all movie theaters. You'd always see the Wolves trailer, and then I'm like, okay, so this is gonna be like a huge movie, and then they decided to be like, JK, after going through like groups for testing, this scored really bad, so we're gonna go straight to Apple TV. And like, I kind of get it, you know, like the expectations are high with George Clooney and Brad Pitt as like your main cast, as like essentially the concept is like they're these specialists who clean up the messes, and they're very hush hush. They're wolves because they work alone, and their chemistry is the only thing that carries this movie. It's essentially like individual people who want to come together, who are forced to put in this situation, and it's like this buddy cop movie, but it like this just didn't have to be made. It could have been maybe a comedy with less of a budget, with actors that you could have paid significantly less, but it's just something nice I put on in the background, but I lost interest really quickly. Some funny moments here and there, some ha-has, some like George Clooney like punching Brad Pitt and vice versa, and there's some, you know, old school versus new school in terms of like how they're trying to tell the story, but it's nothing special. It's definitely like I can understand why they push this straight to Apple TV instead of going to theaters.
Their issues is that they are overpaying for everything. It's crazy. They gave $250 million to Martin Scorsese for Killer of the Flower Moon. Great film. I have no problem with it. $250 million. Like, then you pay $250 million for Napoleon. Mm-hmm. I guess, you know, Ridley Scott doesn't have the same prestige. I still understand it. You had Joaquin Phoenix. It's Napoleon. It's supposed to be an epic. It kind of bombed, but like, you know, like I can understand it a bit better. Mm-hmm. Then you pay $200 million for Argyle.
Whew.
And and like that's where like it started to like stop making sense. I understand Kingsman was somewhat successful, like the first one, and then the second and third one, I don't even know if there's a fourth one. I stopped watching after the second one because the second one was so bad. Mm-hmm. And to me, like the Argyle thing, I was like, okay, like something's not adding up. And then Fly Me to the Moon, which I know you like, but like realistically, they didn't make any money.
The only good one that really comes to mind is Tetris with the guy Tegan Arrington, who was
Taron.
He's the Kingsman, right?
Yeah, Egerton.
That was like probably the one of the best Apple movies, or like if I had to rank them, like Tetris is right up there. But since then, like nothing. They've been like,
well, Fly Me to the Moon. You loved
it. I actually didn't even know it was an Apple movie.
It is.
So like I love Fly Me to the Moon, but like it looks low budget. You know,
really,
like the cast itself doesn't seem like it, because you have Channing Tatum, you have Scarlett Johansson, but the movie looks like it's low budget. Now I could be wrong; it could be probably high budget because it's an Apple movie, but I didn't expect it as an Apple movie. I didn't even realize it was a part of the same studio.
What did you give it, Wolf?
I think I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. I'd say it's a burn.
It's a burn.
Yeah.
And like, is there like a twist or something? We shouldn't say anything.
It's
Is it basically what you expect it to be?
It's very predictable. Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. One last one. I went to see Heretic with Hugh Grant. I'm just back. Like we saw it 3 hours ago, so I might be a bit fresh, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit, and we'll go into Anora. Heretic, Hugh Grant, basically two door-to-door girl that for the Church of Mormon. I'm going to go from memory. I might get some things wrong. Don't crucify us. They basically they get a list of people that have shown interest in the Church of Mormon, and then they go door to door, and like they're supposed to try to convert them. But like it's very explicitly said that like their goal is to convert people. They count the amount of people they converted, and then Hugh Grant is a guy that showed interest, and they invite them home, and then they say basically, hey, we're not supposed to be here except if there's another woman present for security. That's something we do. He said, oh yeah, my wife is in the kitchen. She's cooking a blueberry pie. I can give you guys some. And then they start having a long conversation about religion, about what they like about it, what they don't like about it, what is belief. And it's kind of a thriller horror film. It's for me, it felt a lot more thriller, but there's some horror element in there. A lot of the film is long conversation between those three people. There's not a lot of character. And at some point, basically, I'm going to try not to spoil anything because it just came out.
Right.
You realize that maybe he doesn't have a wife cooking a blueberry pie in the other room. And then it becomes a bit of a game where Hugh Grant is trying to get the two girls to question their belief and really get kind of deep down into what does it mean to believe, what is the meaning of religion. And I would say that obviously it's a touchy subject, but regardless of what your beliefs are, the movie is very well done, where it leaves room for everyone to be happy. It's not attacking religion. It's not like overly one-sided. It's pretty much like everyone has arguments, and the movie is more about asking questions than like giving you an answer as you're supposed to. Like, here's the answer to like this whole religion question. Very well written. I really enjoy the script. It's very deep. It's very thick. Like there's a lot of theme. They have long, like 20 minutes conversation at a time. And Hugh Grant is just, it's funny because I feel like he played the exact same character he always plays in romantic comedies. Kind of like charming, awkward, and a little bit odd, right? That's kind of like his kind of demeanor normally in romantic comedy. But because he's dressed like a bit of a weirdo with big glasses and there's sinister music playing and the script is sinister, all those things he played almost exactly the same. But it comes off really terrifying because you have this guy that almost you want to trust, but they're like all those like charming little thing and those little smile and those little hesitation and the way he stumble upon himself a little bit kind of feel like odd and like out of place. And it feels like at the same time he feels very sound-minded and off-hinge at this like dancing between those things super like seamlessly. It's really a great performance. And the first hour is mostly about like a lot of talking and like a little bit of like the chess kind of piece are getting placed for the film. And there's a section in the middle that's about 20 minutes about how like Hugh Grant break down the origin of religion with a lot of like pop reference. And it's really well done, really interesting. For me, the second half, it's about a 2-hour film. The second hour, not as good. It's a bit more repetitive. And this is where we lean a lot more like thrilling horror versus the first one is a lot more conversational and such. I really liked it. Mary didn't like it at all. Like really divisive. And it's funny, like all we could do is talk about it on the bus ride. Like I was talking about how deep and how much metaphor there was. There's so much interesting thing to dig in. It is a bit thrilling. There's a bit of horror. There's a bit of blood. There's nothing like overly like disturbing. To me, it's if you can watch like a Scream film or those kind of like classic horror film, you should be totally fine watching this. Really good. I would recommend it. Like I said, the whole time on the bus we were talking about it, I was kind of like blabbering about like all the symbolism I could see, and the guy in front of us kind of turned. It was like I think you're talking about this thing, and you guys are talking about it, and it just made me want to like go see it. And that's kind of that kind of film that like is a conversation starter, and you just want to kind of like talk about it, even if you don't like it. Like Mary, we had a long conversation. We're still talking about it right before the podcast while we were having dinner, because it's like regardless of how much you like it, there's just so much to talk about. It's really an interesting film.
Was the movie theater like packed, or was it midway?
Empty.
Empty.
Empty. There was 8 people, so including us, so 6 people. But it's a very small theater. It's maybe like 45 places, 50 places, and there was 8 people. But the big thing is that obviously I'm in Quebec City, and we saw the original English version. So I don't know if the French version has more people.
That's fair.
Most of the time it does.
Based on all the trailers I've seen, and just based on the name Heretic,
What does it mean, heretic? I actually don't know.
Because just as I'm looking up the
Just as
meaning
I'm looking at it.
a person believing in or practicing religious, another word I can't pronounce, but essentially, I thought this was like almost a not a sequel, but something in the same line of like Hereditary. Like that's where my brain immediately went to, because I've seen it labeled as a horror, and it does make it seem like if I'm just pulling from my ass the bits and pieces of the trailer that I remember, it's like these 2 women being trapped in like this maze that Hugh Grant creates. Like that's how I remember the trailer.
It's similar to Midsommar in a way. I guess there's some mind game there. There's like exploration of culture and cults kind of like thinking. I really like it. I give it a 3.5.
Nice.
I think it's a big save. I think you should watch it. I think you should go. Hugh Grant by itself, the first hour is amazing. Just amazing. Glued to the screen. Really, really loved it. On the other side, Mary hated it. She couldn't stand it. She said that it was one of the worst films she's seen this year. But at the same time, we both couldn't stop talking about it. So
That's a win.
take that as you want. Okay, Anora. So let's jump into it. The winner of the Cannes Palme d'Or, which is like basically their best movie of the year. Sean Baker, director of The Florida Project, Tangerine, and Red Rocket, which I've seen Red Rocket. I haven't seen the other 2 yet. Mikey Madison, main actress. A lot of buzz around her performance. A lot of hope that she would get nominated. I think it's technically the front runner for best movie at the Oscar right now, purely because they won at Cannes. And my second argument around it, even though I disagree, I don't know what else could be a front runner. Last year, Oppenheimer and Poor Thing felt like the front runner, where it felt like who else can win? Right? Like maybe Holdovers if you want to like throw in there. But like even me, I love the Holdovers, favorite movie of the year. I didn't believe it had a chance at best movie. Oppenheimer seemed like a slam dunk. Yep, like give it to him. I don't know this year. It feels like there's a lot of good movie, but I don't know if there's a movie that I'm like, that's a contender for best movie. Like, do you have something in mind?
I honestly was Googling to see like what would even come up close. There's like Dune, but it came out so long ago.
It will never win. It's science fiction. Like a sequel science fiction, never going to win. I think Sing Sing, you could make an argument.
Sing Sing, I think is close. Like
it fade away so quickly.
A lot of buzz about like Substance, like, but that's like right now, right?
Yeah, but it's way too graphic. I would be very shocked that it would be. Yeah, I would be very shocked. I think it's way too graphic. It's super gory. It's very explicit. Like I really doubt that it might get nominated. But even I wouldn't put money down they get nominated even.
Here's like a quick list from Vulture.com for best movies of 2024 so far. Conclave.
Not a best movie. Like a nominee, but not winner.
Rumors. With Rumors legendary Canadian director Guy.
I heard it's just fine.
It's a movie called The Outrun by Saoirse Ronan.
Yeah, it's supposed to be very good. I haven't seen it yet. I heard some people have seen it. It's available to rent now. It's on my watch list. Like I'm probably gonna watch it this week or next week. But that's something that I'm actually like finger crossed. High hope on that one.
High hopes. Sleep. It's some Korean movie.
Yeah, no chance.
No chance.
Sorry.
Wild Robot. Not a fan.
No chance. No, I mean
it's animation.
It could win. Well, it could still be nominated for best movie, but like if it win best animated movie, I don't think ever an animated movie won best movie. I don't think that ever happened. I doubt that Wild Robot will do it.
Yeah, there's a different man with Sebastian.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I don't see a lot of buzz there.
Yeah, there's a couple others here that I don't recognize. Girls Will Be Girls.
Never heard of it.
Matt and Mara.
Never heard of it.
I haven't heard of this, but I really want to watch it just based on the title. My Old Ass.
Oh, My Old Ass. That's Margot Robbie produced this. It's with that girl that's super awkward on purpose.
Aubrey Plaza.
Yes. Good. I can't believe you got that.
I'm just reading the title.
Dude, it just released on Prime Video. My Old Ass. It was on my watch list for like a long time. Apparently, it's very good. It's about like a young woman that goes on a camping trip and she takes mushroom and she starts hallucinating but talking to herself in 30 years. And it's a conversation between herself at different time in life. It looks really nice. I mean, it's more of a comedy. I think it's very light. So I doubt that it's in contention.
Yeah, then the list keeps going, and I see some other films that have already been out, like Rebel Ridge.
No chances.
Yeah.
Those are more like film well rated than like contender. To me, like Anora by default is the front runner because it won at Cannes. I think if the people voting are, because they are a bunch of old people, like, to be honest, if they feel like it's a bit too subjective because it is quite sexual. Conclave could be because we can vote for this, we'll vote for this. And Conclave it's a good movie, like we talked about at length last week, but I wouldn't say it's a best winner, like a best picture winner to me. But at the same time, I literally have nothing. Like, I love Dune, love it, but I don't see it winning. So I don't know. I feel like Anora might just steal it because there's no clear. Actually, the only one that I say has a real chance is A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan movie with Timothée Chalamet.
Oh yeah,
it's directed by Sam Mendes, who did Walk the Line, the Johnny Cash thing. That has like Oscar written all over it. Like Bob Dylan, Timothée Chalamet, releasing on Christmas, a biopic about a singer. This is like gold for them. Like, they love this shit.
Yeah, that's talking about like movie trailers that they're pumping hard. Like, that one is all like in every single movie. You'll see that trailer, and then also tied to that is the most awkward movie trailer, which is Baby Girl with Nicole.
Baby Girl.
It makes me uncomfortable every single time when I look inside the theater and there's an elderly couple. I'm like, oh boy. We're gonna be in for a stinker. But I've heard a couple people at work talking about Anora and how like it's the best movie of the year so far. So I had an idea of like the over. Not before getting into it, but like it was hyped up like crazy to me that Anora was the best thing to hit the theater.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, obviously, it won at Cannes. I knew the director. I heard great things across the board. My expectation was Uncut Gems meets kind of like porting kind of thing. Yeah. Something like that. I was expecting to be stressed and like a romance that is stressful, like something like that. I don't know, like a weird romance that is stressful. And I think the first hour is kind of that. I enjoyed the first hour a lot more than the last hour. The last hour was kind of ruined the film for me.
Oh gosh, yeah, like the first hour is like young love, it's just like someone chasing their dreams. It's just like this was like their ticket out by marrying Yvonne, this like young 20-something with like endless resources and money. And like it's something that like, you can follow along so easy because it's like just young, dumb, stupid people like doing random things. But the second half took like a huge turn, and it was just like there's no more of a chase, even though the entire second half was a chase.
Yeah, dude. Like the home invasion scene, as much as there's amazing small, tiny micro moments in that enormous scene, was never ending. Like it was painful. Like at first I'm like, all right, it's getting a bit kind of funny, right? Like you have like those henchmen that are coming in and are meant to like figure out like Yvonne is getting married, what the fuck? The parents are mad. This priest, who's his uncle or godfather, I think, or something, is trying to like find Yvonne and his kind of new wife, who how they think they like, oh, she's a hooker or like she's a prostitute. So we need this marriage annulled. We need divorce. We need like this not to happen because it's a shame for the family. And then you have those henchmen that are coming in to kind of like help the godfather uncle dude to kind of like find Yvonne and bring him to like court to like get divorced or something like that. Yeah. Yvonne just run away out of the door, and Anora, Annie, kind of stays there, and then she kind of argue and like for legit probably 25 minutes, it's Anora yelling at the top of her lung non-stop. The henchmen trying to control her. Then they get punched, they fall. It's kind of funny, slapstick comedy. And then it's kind of funny, like the big guy cannot handle the little girl. It's like, she hurt me, and like, I have a concussion, and blah, blah, blah. And there's a lot of good moment. But dude, it feels like, okay, like we've done this. Now let's move on. But it doesn't move on. And it's like, all right, now she's tied up. Let's move on. Okay, we don't move. Okay, and the uncle is here now. And now he's asking question. Let's move on. And it's like, it doesn't want to move on. I've seen a lot of people say, oh, I love that, like, the director just stayed there and, like, allow it to, like, play out. But I was like, dude, it was painful. This movie is, like, 2 hour, 20 minutes. I was like, you can make this movie 90 minutes. And it would be probably amazing. Probably very shallow still, because I still think there's almost no message in there. But at least it would be, like, tight. And, like, the first hour is so tight. It's fun. The wedding, the Vegas and everything, like, it moves so quickly. And then you have this huge pause in the middle of it. Painful.
Yeah, it's in the beginning, like what's so fun about it is like obviously she's a sex worker. There's like you have these intimate moments, literally intimate moments within her workplace, and like all the characters that you meet along the way who work at the strip club, like very interesting, very funny. Yvonne being this like high class status, she only speaks Russian. There's like interest there. There's a lot of fun things within that relationship. But the second Yvonne leaves after the home invasion, like it gets so boring. It's just like they hop from place to place trying to find Yvonne, and it's a relationship between Annie and Igor or Ivan, the henchman, who's like this subtle nice guy who also is a thug, and the budding relationship between them is like just so obvious. And I was just like, it just became just like comedy in a car or comedy at a restaurant, or do you know who this person is? It just became the chase that never ended. And even like the last like 15 minutes was so unnecessary. They could have cut like seeing I saw this with Colleen, and Colleen I think said it well, like seeing the parents' face almost ruined it, because there was so much more fear knowing that the parents were coming, that like if like the plane just arrived and you never saw the parents, I almost think it was better, because the parents were a letdown. Like you expected them to be so fierce and intimidating, but because of the way Annie interacts with the parents, it almost takes away from that fear. The dad's laughing the entire time. Like, he's supposed to be this scary guns person or drug lord, but, like, you get none of it. You get someone who's rich, doesn't care, and is laughing, like, 100% of the time he's on screen.
Yeah, and in the second half, Anora is just screaming all the time. She just it's fun at some point, like, her fuck you attitude is kind of fun, and it worked. But eventually it's like everything she says is like, fuck you, fuck this. Like, is it really like all we having here? Like, she kind of like fight back, I'm not gonna get divorced, it's my husband, we love each other. And then okay, I'll get a divorce, but I want this. And it's like, okay, I'm not gonna get this, but but I'm still gonna divorce him. And then like basically, like, she just gave up the entire time. And I'm sure, like, there's a message here where, like, oh, like, the poor lose and the rich people win. But it's, like, so basic. It's like, dude, like, this is a 2.5-hour movie. Best movie at Cannes. And this is the message. Poor people lose, rich people win. And the half-ass effort at the end to try to, like, make it a bit deeper, dude. Like, spoiler alert. Like, the last 15 minutes that you mentioned, right? So you have Annie and Igor, or Ivan, or whatever, the henchmen, that are kind of buddy-buddy. But like also they don't like each other at the same time. It's kind of a weird, like it works, but it's kind of like whatever. Like they're not really friendly, but they still together. They spend like one last night in the house together. They're not like romantically involved. They have a long conversation about how if he could, he would have sexually aggressed her. And he's like, no, I wouldn't do this because I'm not that guy. I'm not that, right?
Yeah.
But and then like he drive her home at the end, and then he kind of revealed to her that he kept the ring that Ivan had told gave him for like getting married. And then like her first response is that she decided to sleep with the henchman Ivan. And then like they start sleeping together in the car, and then she started crying, and then the movie ends. I guess like the message here is like she's been so conditioned to be like a sexual object. And I'm gonna go with my interpretation, but like it's very thin. Like there's barely any bone on that meat. I'm like chewing on nothing here. Is that she's been conditioned to be a sexual object, and the only way to answer to someone being nice to her is with sexual, like with her physique, with her body. And as soon as she kind of realized that, she started crying, and then the movie ended. But like for 2 hours and 10 minutes, no, for 2 hours and 15 minutes, none of this is ever even hinted at. The number of time that she's used or like she's partaking, and her body is what she's selling, and her body is the reason why she gets through the door, and her body is the reason why this and this and this and this. She get all the benefits. She gets money, she gets clothes, she gets an engagement, she gets a lifestyle, and fair. That's okay. Like show us that this person is totally blind to how she became this thing, this object, right? But to, in the last 5 minutes, try to make a point where, like, look at this, like how, like it didn't work at all. Like you need at least some, like something weaving into the script. Like it can't just come at the last minute and then you cut to black.
Yeah, it's just interesting. Like I just thought that the way that they were building up Annie throughout 90% of the first half of the film, that she would be going against the grain. You know, she wants to fight against the rich. So when, I think his name's Toros, the priest guy, when he said, we're gonna annul this marriage, and then I'm gonna offer you $10,000 and for you to never see Yvonne again. So for her to just like agree to 10,000, I thought like, oh, she's gonna for sure push back to like at least 50K, but she just like gave up halfway through the film. You want to believe that Annie's so much more smarter because the movie wants you to set up that she is way more than just a sex worker. She's someone like who's young, who's like wanting to get out of her current situation. So you would think that someone in her position and someone that, you know, the audience is made to believe that is much smarter than who she is, you want her to think like she gets to court, she pushes for the million, or she follows through with suing. Because near the end, when they're about to go on the plane to Las Vegas, she says like, I want to talk to my lawyer, I want to sue you. And then the mom says, well, if you sue me, then I'm going to take everything. I'm going to take your car, your house, your parents are going to pay for it. But like, she has nothing. Like, why don't you go for broke?
Yeah.
Like, it's just insane that she just gave up there. She's like, okay, you're right. I'm going to lose my house that I'm renting. I'm going to lose the car that I don't have. And my parents live in Miami. Like, I just don't understand like why she just went along for the ride.
Not even that. Like it's such an empty. Like the threat, the way that the Russian family do it, there's no basis. It's not even like as the mother was saying like if you because basically Anora is like I'm gonna divorce and I'm gonna go for 50% of everything he owns, right? And she's like if you do this I'm gonna go after your family. You're gonna lose everything. It's like, but based on what though? Like. You can't just countersue a divorce. Like that's not how it works. Like it just doesn't make any like the answer that the Russian family say makes zero sense. Like there's no basis for like this to be believable. The fact that Anora think that this is a real risk, even on the fact that like she has nothing to lose. Like honestly, she has nothing to actually lose. So like she could still, even if it was a real risk, why not take it? To me, for her to give up like this, it's like almost the movie was like, well, we just need to move to the next thing now. And like as much as she was fighting and like literally physically fighting henchmen, she becomes like just all bark no bite at the end. And this idea that like, oh well, you know, the poor lose and the rich win. It is only like this because you made it so convenient for those things to just happen.
It's very just disappointing, you know? I think the biggest thing is like the audience is along for the ride that you don't want to be a part of. You know, you almost want like you want Annie to fight. You want Annie to resist more. You want Annie to, you know, be the person that comes out on top because she is the underdog, right? To your point, like the poor always lose, but you want the underdog to win. You just walk away unsatisfied. Kind of like, you know, the end of the movie is like her hopping on Igor to start some things up, but you know, you're left disappointed. Like, what was the point of this whole thing? Like, just to show you that no matter where you are in life, there's no fight. You'll never move up. Like, it's just so dissatisfying.
I'm fine with her not winning because I think obviously it's an independent film. Like, they're not gonna go for like the Hollywood ending. Yeah. I'm fine with that, but at the same time, you have a character that is meant to be kind of a tenacious, fuck you society kind of person that also take advantage and also is really good in the first half to get what she wants, right? And she doesn't get what she wants just by being lucky. She get what she wants by being somewhat smart and also kind of not courageous, but like she go for things, right? Like she takes risk and she go for things. It's fine if she doesn't win at the end, but she has to not win, not by the character totally like changing and like stop behaving like it should, and actually like lose because it is what it is. Like it's totally fine that she doesn't get everything.
Yeah, there's no fight. You know, it's there's so much bark, no fight. It just like give up. The idea that she completely switches personalities within 48 hours is ridiculous for someone who is, I think in the film, 23 years old and sounds like she's been fighting her entire life. To give up everything just because like you're I guess technically her husband runs out on her, but like there's no connecting the dots of how you start with Annie, this strong independent woman at 23 years old, to this like puppy by the end of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely overhyped. Even if I actually like the film, and I understand why some people like it, I have no problem. I think like the first hour by itself, it's just so solid. Like it's just a good time. I understand why people like it, but I think even if you like it, it has to be clear. Like I think everyone needs to be able to admit that it's overhyped. Like it's right now so hype, and like people on Letterboxd and YouTube are like just cannot get enough of it, and I really don't get that. I think they really selling what people want to hear because it's convenient for them. It makes them more views. People will like them more. But I think it's good. I wouldn't say it's a bad film. I give it a 3 out of 5. I was severely disappointed based on the hype, but outside of the hype, I think as a film, as a standalone film, a lot of issues, a lot of things that don't add up. Super, like nothing to chew on. Very thin. I think the script, it's all vibes, and like it's cool if you want to go for vibes, but like I need something more. I need like something interesting to be said. It's a burn for me. It's a save on its own, but as a front runner, Oscar, prize winning, the way that it's been sold, that's a burn on that. I don't think it's hitting that mark. But again, I think we are the minority here. So if you are interested, even if we don't like it, both of us, still go check it out because again, we are the minority.
I'm gonna say burn for me. I just quickly Googled 2025 Best Actress predictions. Right now on Variety.com, it has Mikey Madison for Anora. Angelina Jolie for Maria, Netflix. Tilda Swinton, The Room Next Door. Nicole Kidman, Baby Girl, and Carla Sofia Gaskin, Emilia Perez. So pretty rough. Pretty rough.
That's
yeah, big burn for me too.
Big week. We are coming back next week. We have Emilia Perez on Netflix this week. Emilia Perez came out. We're going to be looking at that. Awesome, buddy. Have a good one.
Ciao.
Take care, everyone.